Hello, everyone. I am today is my day. I'm just excited today to just hear from all of you. I'm really, really happy that you accepted Sean's invitation for this, and I am so looking forward to it. So it's going to be fun.
Thank you for everybody for joining us. This particular meeting, of course, is somewhat special. Again, we're celebrating Black History Month, and I wanted to take just a few moments to go through some of the housekeeping of the actual organization. Some things that I'm extremely proud about. I will sit back and go through it fairly quickly because I want to get to the meat of our overall agenda. But I want to make sure that everybody's aware of the updates that we're making as a group, because each and every month we are doing some incredible things. So if everybody can still see my agenda here on the screen. So right now we have a tablecloth, just to kind of give you guys a feel for what that tablecloth looks like. This gives you a view of what the top part of the tablecloth looks like. The front, as people would walk up to our particular booth, would look like. The contact points there, along with what in essence overall is our message. And I sent this out to a couple of people. And on the side of the table would actually just promote the fact of becoming a member. So of course, people can come and find out more and more about us. We've got a new page on our website, which I'm extremely proud of. Again, we have it where we've got our members listed. So if somebody went in, and this portion is not live as of yet, because I wanted to make sure we ran it by everyone. But right now we have it where we have become a member and we have our members. Within there, we would actually have it where we're probably going to hide this where only the members know, or we will put it into the newsletter where if somebody sat back and said, oh, you know what, I wanted to get in contact with Arvel, or I want to get in contact with, Asia. For example, they would be able to look up Asia. They can do a search based off category names. You can do it based on job titles. Again, you can do it based on the company. You can type in whoever it might be. So let's say if I wanted to type in Matt, I typed in Matt pops up automatically. If I wanted to find out what month is he born in, I can find that out as well. We eliminated some things that would be extremely private, but these things are all in essence public. If anybody has any feedback, please feel free to get back to me at a later time. But this is something, our goal here is to connect everyone, and there's different ways of doing it. So if you can only remember, let's say, for example, you typed in rate. Guess what? Everybody who had the word rate connected to them could be found. So for example, Matt is at Rate Marketplace. Anytime you see the word rate appear within their title, there would appear. So happy about that. Again, the goal here is to connect us all. We currently have 102 subscribers, but we are up to 198 members following us. Happy to announce that Myrna has accepted to become part of our steering committee to help us get things moving and keep things moving, rather. If somebody actually typed in Blacks in Martech or Blacks of Martech or Blacks in Martech, they would actually get forwarded right over to Blacks in Performance Marketing website. So now we have a little bit more of expanded reach. I'm hoping that everybody received the newsletter. If you did not receive the newsletter, please put in the chat that you did not receive it, and we'll make sure that we make those updates. But you can see that this is an example of what the newsletter looked like this month. You'll notice that we actually increased and have quite a few more new members. Again, I think this is probably the largest amount of new members that we've ever had. The benefits behind becoming a member, again, we promote, of course, this particular meeting. We have a countdown, which we are right in right now. So is it rating at 0? All of the upcoming events that's coming up, again, along with the fact that they have a discount. We are partnering up with a lot of these particular exhibits and conferences and making sure that our members get a special discount. So please, if you plan on attending LeadsCon, you don't have to pay full rate. Of course, we have our sponsor of Rob, great guy. And then of course we have it where we've got some things that are going on in the industry, along with our previous speaker, which was Sean Kerwin. And there's different things. If you happen to miss Ndala's presentation at the PACE conference, you can actually watch that right there. And then of course we have our sponsors of PACE, again, Leadspedia, Lead Gen World, Market Rate, and of course Back to Learn. We actually have it where anytime somebody goes in and actually signs up to become a member, they now get an automated email welcoming them to the group. which you're excited about there. The new subscribers, again, associated with membership, they get an update. They can now update your preferences. So if you saw anything on there that said, oh man, I'm not born in the month of April, I'm actually born in the month of June, I'm not sure I did that incorrectly, you now can go in and update your preferences. If your title has changed, if your company has changed, you can just go and update it yourself. It'll send it over to us, to the team, and then the team from that point on will make it live within the next few days or whatever it might be. But at least you can update it yourself. I'm extremely happy to sit back and say that both Myrna as well as Amanda from Link Unite and Women of Martech are going to be kind of taking over our March meeting, which is going to be dedicated to, of course, women. And then the last thing is that periodically you guys might receive an email that will have a link in it. And the link will look something like this. And that link is going to be talking about the member spotlight, where it's going to give you an opportunity. Right now, I sent it to myself. You can, of course, always, when you get it, it'll say your email address. And if they wanted to be a different email, it can be. But what it does is it shows you what a spotlight is, where we want to sit back and make sure the world knows about you. And then, of course, you would sit back and just simply fill out the form below and submit it over to us. And then from that point on, we'll create what this spotlight looks like. And then we'll find a way to promote you throughout our social media as well as our websites across the board. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat or email me directly. But I wanted to make sure that I got through some of the updates, and there'll be more for next month. We are moving, we are thriving, and we welcome each and every one of you. And thank you for being a part of the meeting. Now, from this point on, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Matt.
In the directory, a couple of things. I don't know how people feel about being able to make it optional, but having a phone number, as well as considering being able to put your LinkedIn. No, I'm just saying, I think it may make it a little more personable instead of, just, this blind email that goes out. So just a couple of thoughts. Sean, do you want to start off, but just, what you experienced this past weekend? In Atlanta before I go into this?
Thank you so much for the privilege of being able to talk to this. I had a chance to go to visit Atlanta this past weekend and had a chance to go to the Civil Rights and Human Rights Center. So not a museum, but a center. In there, they actually have a 2-floor exhibit where they just talk about everything that happened throughout, again, our great country of America. And civil rights, human rights, who were the advocates, who spoke strongly to whatever it might have been, and how we made differences and how we made changes. Again, how we had it where people of color were no longer considered to be, 3/5 thereof. And it was just powerful. And with that in mind, I started thinking about, we had Black History Month this meeting, and there was one particular section of this center that spoke to Martin Luther King Jr. And I think it was like 1964, not too far long ago, something like that. But it ended up being where he had won the Nobel Peace Prize. That, again, he had to go and accept, I think, in Norway. This is international news. Somebody from Atlanta won it. They wanted to host something. And with that in mind, we're going to sit back and share with you the story. So please listen in. It is extremely powerful. I mean, again, this is just one of the many things that I experienced while there. And if you have a chance in Atlanta, please go do it. I had a chance to sit back and sit at a mock of the actual table where the people did the sit-ins, and you have to put your hands on the table. You put headphones over you, and they are people screaming, yelling, calling you all kinds of names. They ask you to close your eyes, keep your hands on the table, while you experience what some of these individuals who were nicely dressed up, suit and tied up, had to deal with solely because they just wanted a glass of water, but because it was supposed to be white only, what they had to deal with. Screaming, yelling, I'm gonna kill you. I mean, again, we did that for less than 2 minutes. People got up and they couldn't handle just the mock of it. Imagine you being hit and bruised across the board and asked not to move so that you could fight for your rights. So guys, again, we've come a long way as a country, but again, there's still steps that I think that we constantly need to make. And within this industry of Blacks in Performance Marketing, our goal here is to sit back and at least for an hour per month, let's sit back and figure out what we can do together to be inspired, to be encouraged, to know that we are not alone.
Here's the story. When Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964, the honor was a tremendous source of pride for the Black community in King's hometown of Atlanta. The majority of the city's whites, however, were unimpressed. They thought it was just one more step in this process that was meant to deprive them of the fruits of white supremacy and Jim Crow law that they had enjoyed for more than half of a century, recalls Frederick Allen, author of Atlanta Rising, The Invention of an International City and Secret Formula, How Brilliant Marketing and Relentless Salesmanship Made Coca-Cola the best known product in the world. If you had been waiting for the white community in Atlanta to accept civil rights, you would have waited as long as anywhere in the South. Allen notes that while the civil rights movement was driven by the grassroots, bottom-up actions of Atlanta's Black community, the white response was completely top-down. Case in point, after Dr. King accepted the Nobel Prize in Oslo, Norway, a small, diverse group of progressive Atlantans organized an interracial, interdenominational dinner at the Dinkler Plaza Hotel to honor his achievement and unite the city's large segregated communities. Atlanta Mayor Ivan Allen Jr. offered to help drum up support of the city's business community, but invitations to the sponsor and landmark event were largely ignored by white leaders. One unnamed banker allegedly started the phone calls around town urging people not to go. Days later, a front page story in the New York Times made Atlanta's ugly story national news with a headline, "Tribute to Dr. King Disputed in Atlanta." That's when Allen decided to call in a favor. Understanding the influence former Coca-Cola president Robert Woodruff had on the city's business community, he paid a visit to Woodruff's Equitable plantation in Southwest Georgia. The mayor felt the lack of support for the King dinner was an embarrassment to Atlanta, which he had just launched a multi-million-dollar national advertising campaign touting it as a city too busy to hate. Woodruff, who had fallen off a horse and was recovering from injuries, agreed. He tapped Coca-Cola president and CEO Paul Austin to convene the city's business elite at the exclusive Piedmont Driving Club for a private meeting. They urged the leadership of the Atlanta business community white folks to buy tickets, Frederick Allen said. Austin was from LaGrange, Georgia, but had lived and worked in South Africa for 14 years, where he saw firsthand how apartheid and racism wreaked havoc on the country's economy. Determined to prevent a similar story from unfolding in Atlanta, he threatened to move the Coca-Cola company's headquarters if his fellow executives didn't step up. It's embarrassing for Coca-Cola to be located in a city that refuses to honor its Nobel Prize winner, he quoted as saying that night. We are an international business. The Coca-Cola company does not need Atlanta. You all need to decide whether Atlanta needs the Coca-Cola company. By December 20th, the dinner was sold out. That broke the logjam and the tickets were gone, said Frederick Allen. The dinner went on and was a landmark of racial harmony. More than 1,500 guests packed the Dinkler Hotel on January 27, 1965, where Dr. King delivered an impassioned speech. The crowd, including many who had never dined with a member of the opposite race, even broke into an impromptu rendition of We Shall Overcome.
Guys, I just wanted to make sure that we understood that we're not talking about 100 years ago. We're not talking about whatever it is. This is something that happened not all that long ago for one of the most sought out prizes that you could ever get, the Nobel Peace Prize. But because individuals of power and authority were trying to sit back and hold on to their way of life, which was not moral, which was not correct, but they wanted to hold on to it regardless. Again, kind of gives us an example and understanding that, again, what the powers that we fight at times, again, we've got to be big and we've got to be bold, but we got to also be together. So I wanted to make sure that we shared that, but we also need to have advocates. We need to have allies. We need to make sure that people understand that there is a bigger purpose behind it. And when doing so, Coca-Cola, again, the chairman and the CEO of that changed the look that happened forever. So I didn't know, I wasn't aware of that story. And again, there's so many stories like that that will empower us by far. Let's continue to sit back and, again, encourage each other. So with that in mind, thank you. Ndala, it is all yours.
Thank you. Thank you. And of course, it's just been a real honor for me to have been asked to do the interviewing today. But before I even say that, I do want to just point out, it's amazing. That story is such a powerful representation of how important our roles are and how important our words are within our roles and our influence is within our roles. And also it shows how vital allies are too, right? So that's definitely something we should be thinking about. Our allies and our own space, our own roles and our own words and how we represent and how we speak about these things when we're amongst people who look at us as individuals of influence. So I am going to just give the speakers a heads up, and I am going to let you know what order I'm going to go in so that you're ready. Okay, so I'm going to start with Arvel, and then I'm going to go to Eric, and then Tony, and then John, and then Earl, and then Garrett, and then Sean. Okay, so just so you know, so you won't be surprised. Okay, so the Chop Shop is really an opportunity for us to learn and understand and get to know each other. So let's start with Arvel. Arvel, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself and also tell us what it is that you do, who are you with, and what do you do, and how long you've been doing it.
Thank you, Ndala. Thanks, Sean. Thanks, everyone. Good to see you on this lovely day. So I'm Arvel Craig. I used to be with Contact Center Compliance, but as of a week ago, I am now on my own or figuring out what my next step is going to be. So I was there doing compliance consulting, telemarketing consulting, and I was also doing like speaking and hosting events for the company, kind of building the brand. Did that for 18 months. Doubled the revenue on what I was doing, but I was a small department and they shut that department down. Good relationship with them still, but that ended last week. So my background before this past 2 years, I've been in digital marketing consulting for about 20 years, primarily on my own, running my own consulting company, doing a lot of B2B lead gen, marketing automation, conversational marketing, things like that is what I have done. So again, so moving forward, so what do you do? Yeah, 20 years doing it. And yeah, so moving forward, I'm trying to figure out, do I want to go back on my own, which I may not do, or I may find a company where I have to like invent the proper role of what I want to do, which is going to be using marketing, funnel optimization, automation skills, but also I'm into networking, partnerships, relationship development, business development, but also speaking. So those are like the 3 buckets that I'm going to be, I got updated my resume with that unique, mix of what I do and what I bring to the table. And so luckily I've got a bunch of opportunities that are coming and I haven't really talked about it too much. So I just want to find the right situation where I can help the right people and find a good environment to work in.
Good. Thank you. Sounds like you're at a little bit of a decision crossroad there, Arvel.
Yeah. No, it's definitely, again, I enjoyed the past couple years in a company, which is, again, so my last W-2 was 2009 for 3 months. So this is the first time in a long time, but I enjoyed, there were some benefits to it. And so moving forward with my family, as we're figuring out what's the best step, I'm just, navigating all the options and seeing what's out there.
Good. So tell us how others are benefiting from your services. So tell us first what services you yourself offer and how are others benefiting from it? Yeah,
so I've got a couple, because I've always done a lot of B2B lead gen. So email marketing. So right now I've got a couple clients. I think Adam referred me an insurance company. He was doing some recruiting. He bought a big list. So I'm actually networking and helping him to schedule meetings and nurture that list. And there's a coach I'm working with right now, which again, so email is like the bread and butter. If you have an email list and you need ideally B2B, high value sales calls, meetings, and you want to automate that or scale that, those are the things that I'm doing right now. And like the performance marketing, there's a question here. I'm testing out performance marketing business models versus charging a retainer and praying that it works. like if your customer is worth X amount of dollars, what if, you know, you can pay me on the back end. So I'm trying to leverage the performance marketing mindset in the context of B2B, lead gen, business development, things like that, partnership development, things like that.
So tell us just really quickly, because I think we have just a few seconds left, but tell us where this love for this came from.
I mean, I like people, I like marketing, because I've been doing it since I was in college. So I've always liked the technology, and I like, I like writing, I like marketing, so it's really, you know, hands-on, personalized marketing at scale is what I do. And I just been, again, it's been like a hobby. You know, I've been doing this since '01. So, and it's evolved, and I love the industry. I love the newest things, the shiny objects, the chat bots, the AI. So I just play around with these things, do it for fun, do it for my own brand, do it for people. So yeah.
Well, thank you. We will move forward to Eric. So Eric,
Hey.
Let's see, where can I find him? There he is. Good.
Yes.
Eric, could you please introduce yourself and tell us what you do and how long you've been doing it?
My full name is Eric J. Buampo. I know a lot of people struggle to, mention the last name. So I usually go by Eric J just to make it easier. A little background. I'm originally from Ghana. So I'm a proud Ghanaian and I live in Miami. I've been here since 2014. I relocated from DC, where I'm in Virginia, but I was working in DC. And as far as my professional background is, I've been an IT consultant, a cloud consultant, and also I've worked as a DevOps engineer, serving a lot of fintech companies in the Fortune 500, and also, fixing the issue with the credit breach at Equifax in Atlanta. I was the one who went there to fix that issue. And I've been consulting until I think beginning of last year, so about roughly a year now. I decided to go on my own. But then I've been, doing digital marketing and also e-com on the side. So I've been all over the place doing different things. And I decided that it was time to focus on just one thing and move all my energy there. So I decided to, harness where my strength is, and which is in digital marketing, because I can use my ideas from software engineering, automation, and all that kind of stuff into the digital marketing domain. So that is what I do right now.
Wonderful. So how can you help Blacks in Performance Marketing members? Sure. What can you do? What can your services do for our members?
I think the reason why I got here is because I met Matt and Sean Reed at in Vegas at the Affiliate Summit, and so we have something in common, and I believe that we can, have joint ventures. We can coach the youth in our communities. We can come up with stuff that we can share our knowledge transfer. I mean, there are a lot of these kids, young guys coming out of college that we can start, training them on digital marketing, how email marketing, like Avril, was talking about how email marketing works and all that kind of stuff. Another thing that I think I can bring to the table is coaching, coaching people how to start a business online. Whatever their background is, they can start a business online. It doesn't matter. They just have to know what kind of steps they have to go through, and then what kind of resources are available to them. And also another thing is volunteering. If there's anything that I can do, just to volunteer and support the group, I'll be very happy to do that. And lastly, referrals. I know if there is somebody, I've been a serial entrepreneur, doing all sort of things. So people contact me for different things, and things that I don't do anymore, I kind of, refer it to other people. So this is going to be a network where I can, send referrals to, and I can also team up with people. Probably Averil, I need some help with email marketing. So maybe I might, talk to him and see what we can do together, what kind of help he can give to me. So it's like, giving ourselves businesses. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. I hope everybody's paying attention, right? So make those notes, because at some point, somebody's going to say to you, you know what, I need to start an online business. And then you'll be able to say, I know a guy, right? Good. Eric, thank you so much. All right, Miss Tony, let's bring a rose in the midst of these thorns. Okay, guys, I'm not really calling you thorns, but you know what I mean. So Tony, please introduce yourself and tell us what you do and how long you've been doing it.
Thank you. My name is Tony Brooks, and I live in Las Vegas, Nevada. I am the director of clinical outreach for a behavioral health company called Charlie Health, and I've been doing it for exactly a month and 5 or 4 days. So I am very new to this role, and I'm loving it. So what we do is we provide a virtual intensive outpatient program for ages 11 through 30. And this was created to be a way that people can receive behavioral health services from anywhere at a flexible schedule and cost, as well as without a waiting list, which is a major issue within the medical field in general, but especially within behavioral health. So what I've been tasked to do is essentially build the brand in Nevada. This employee number 1 in Nevada. We're launched in 24 other states, but the goal is to basically become the authority in behavioral health within the Nevada space, and then build a team that can support our efforts.
That's fantastic. So, and behavioral health is such a big thing now. I was actually just reading an article about it, and there was this major survey that was done, which you guys, I don't know, you have access to all of this type of research, but there was a survey that was done where they were asking students or they were asking professionals who had just graduated from college and moved into their professional life. They were talking about how they felt about, were they prepared? And many of them said that mental health wise, they weren't prepared to be in the workforce. So we can see how behavioral health issues are becoming a big thing. So now tell me, what can you do for the members of BIPM? Like what services, how can we be helped by the service that you offer?
Yes. So even though I'm no longer really in a traditional sense of part, we can relate on that. I'm not necessarily a traditional performance marketer, but I mean, I am building a brand here, and I am wanting to be a resource within the community. Really what spoke to me about this job was wanting to have a job where I felt a greater sense of purpose. And we have a lot of individualized treatment tracks within Charlie Health, including BIPOC programming. And another one of those surveys that was done, which honestly, there's not enough surveys done about, or information about behavioral health, especially about minorities, but Black children are 50% more likely to experience suicidal ideations or a suicidal event within their life. And when you couple that with lack of resources and systemic racism that keeps them from the access to those resources, I want to be a person that can connect the dots. So, although of course I am a employee of Charlie Health, I want as many people as possible to get the care that they need. So I am out in the communities. I work a lot with hospitals, educators, as well as treatment centers. So if you ever have an event, please invite me. I'm happy to share. I want to save as many people as we possibly can here. And as a Black woman, I know it's my responsibility to make sure that I spread the word.
Wow, thank you. That's really big. Thank you so much for that, Tony. I think we all run into individuals on a consistent basis who are in need of this type of assistance. And so everybody, hey, this is one of the things I think that is a lot of times it's not even spoken about overtly. It's kind of a covert because people don't really share sometimes. And so when it comes down to this need, we have to be vigilant and know people who we can immediately point people to, because we can't always be the one who has the skill that can help in that area. So thank you very, very much, Tony. That's fantastic. Okay, so we will move on to John. So let me see if I can find him. Where is he? Oh, there he is. Okay, John. Hey.
Good morning,
hey,
everybody.
Good to see
good
you.
morning. Good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning. I haven't seen you since San Diego, so it's good to see you. Well,
Diego.
last year, San Diego, right?
That is
So,
true. That
good.
is true. I did see you, and I always try to catch you whenever you have your talk. Even if I'm not available, I always try to download. So it's wonderful. Thank you, everyone on this call today. I apologize earlier today too for the sound. I didn't know I was muted. I wasn't muted, so I apologize. I'm here in sunny Hawaii right now with family. Through the end of the week. So we actually just sat down for dinner at one of our local spots, our family friend spots. But without further ado, I'm John Demosnak. I'm with Facts and Figures. We've been around for 54 years. We do consumer product studies and market research for companies. We pretty much every company you can imagine or throw a rock at, we probably work with. If you consider the Fortune 500, all 500 companies we work with directly for market research, demographic studies, consumer insight studies, brand building, things of that nature. We're really big in consumer brands as well as in food and beverage space. So if if McDonald's wants to invent a new McNugget or a new dipping sauce for their food, they work in our consumer kitchen. We're located in Sherman Oaks, California. We have a 22,000 square foot facility here in Sherman Oaks, California. We also have an 8,000 square foot facility for which is a post-production studio, a film studio that we actually have. We built in 2021 of this a couple of years back. So one aspect that I run, which is more relevant to what we do here at the group, is I run the digital media and advertising side of what we do. So we're a traditional advertising company with an emphasis in digital media and digital expertise. We build applications, software, apps. So along the lines of what Eric is talking about, we have a team of coders and developers who do integration, CRM, ERP, but we also do a lot of the digital ad space. We manage top of the line funnel for most of our clients. So with regards to digital advertising specifically, we'll do anything from SEO, SEM, search engine marketing, optimizing, Facebook advertising, all the advertising we do, we actually can manage from artwork and creative all the way down through funnel. With our media center, we're able to produce, Hollywood grade films. So we do post-production right now. It's kind of been our primary focus. We worked on Maverick. If anybody saw Maverick, we did color grading on the Maverick film. We work with Tyler Perry Studios right now, doing a lot of post-production work for him right now, contract work, as well as some of the platforms like Netflix, Amazon, even HBO. We do some of the post-production work for some of the programs on those shows, like Ray Donovan, for example, things of that nature.
Wow, that's awesome. So that's that side of the industry. So like Tony said, I am learning so much, even in what you're saying. I wasn't even thinking about that part of this industry as well. So very nice. So I think you went through all the answers to all of the questions.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous with my esteemed colleague.
This is fantastic. So thank you so much. Now, Cruz, I'm just going to say hello before you jump off. I know you're not on screen and I know you said you got to go, but I want to say, hey, I met Cruz at Link Unite this year and just really, really happy to see you here. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Ndala, and I hope to get the opportunity to get to know each and every one of you better. I love hearing your stories and I'm excited about being part of this space.
Awesome. Thank you. And I'll touch base with you later.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Okay. All right. So now we'll move on to Earl. Yay. I'm so happy to see Earl.
Hey, happy to see you. Happy to see everyone.
Thank you. Tell us who you are and tell us what you do and tell us how long you've been doing it.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Earl. I am actually a proud Trinidadian American. I really hold on to the core values of, really connecting with people, my faith in God, the ability to lift as we climb, and then also just being able to just connect with people in general, just having a love for people, leading with love. I think, having that energy, and in having that energy, you have the ability to connect with so many people. And those are like the core values that are important to me. And what I can say about what I do, I have been in the performance market, in the SaaS space, sales, for over a decade. I'm currently working as a sales director for Active Prospect in the insurance vertical. So I cover Medicaid, Medicare, U65, final expenses, ACA with lead sellers and publishers. And what Active Prospect does, for example, we are a SaaS platform for consent-based marketing and lead acquisition. And we have coined the term consent-based marketing. And what that means is that we want to make sure that prior to reaching out to a consumer, that you have their prior written consent so that you can safely outbound dial and connect with that consumer. Because what we have seen in the performance marketing space is that when you reach out to consumers without their consent, there is a lot of legal risk that's involved. There's headaches, there's missed calls, there's blocked phone calls, there's blocked emails. And that really doesn't make for a great consumer experience. So by having, proof that, hey, this consumer is actually interested in your product and services, and they are more likely to convert as a consumer.
Good, thank you, Earl. So tell us, how can your services benefit our group here at Blacks in Performance Marketing?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we have 3 pillars of safety, 3 pillars that we focus on: safety, efficiency, and scalability. And what I mean by safety is by being able to document proof of written consent to protect you from any sort of TCPA litigation and legal risk as it associates with that. Efficiency by leveraging our lead conduit platform, which is a lead acquisition platform. So you can actually process leads within real time and basically only accept the leads that meet your specific criteria, and leads that do not meet your specific criteria, they're instantly rejected. You have the ability to add additional data points and enhancements to that leads, and then we can also deliver that lead to whatever backend systems that you have. The third pillar is scalability. So having these 2 pillars that I mentioned previously gives your company the ability to scale your marketing efforts safely and compliantly.
Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, so we will move on to Garrett.
I learned in presentations, my dad gave me the instructions on how to speak to a group and be concise. He always says it's the 5 B's. Have you guys heard of the 5 B's? Be brief, brother. Be brief. So I'm gonna be brief. Yeah, I've been in strategic contact center outsourcing my entire life, probably my whole career, probably 30 years. Really riding the whole waves of customer engagement that started years ago with 800 numbers, and the building of real big, large physical contact centers. And companies did that early in my career to cut costs, to really just cut the cost of customer engagement. That continued to move through automation, through customer engagement, through the internet, through domains and mobile, and all of those reiterations up to and including customer experience and customer engagement. So I actually work in an outsourcing capacity where we handle calls for really large firms. So if you think of the large 800 numbers you call, 90% of the time you're not speaking to their people. You're speaking to an outsourcer's employee. So the largest outsourcer is teleperformance. They got 380,000 people on the phones. The second is like, I don't know, Alorica, 180,000. So the company I represent now, it's got about 5,000 people on the phones. Work at home outsourcing positions in the United States, the Philippines, and Costa Rica. But on a large scale, I did this most of my career for IBM. IBM sold their global outsourcing business, but IBM, back in 2011, had 30 countries and 50 call centers they operated at. So I'm a strategic call center outsourcer. So when you think of performance marketing and you think of all the automated ways that you interact with customers, at some point in time, a human being needs to handle that friction or that question or that interaction. I'm a strategic outsourcer, and that's what I bring to people on this call, whether it's a handful of people or it's thousands of people. I think where you can help is our company, and I've worked with these organizations in the past 5, are certified minority-owned and women-owned companies. So these are companies that are certified with a WBNC or certified with the NMSDC, or they're disabled-owned. They have a diversity ownership, which means really big firms and the federal government gives them a chance to compete. So the company I work for now is a minority-owned, Phoenix, Arizona-based outsourcer of these strategic outsourcing solutions, not just calls and emails and chat, but they're an omni-channel provider, which means however your consumers want to interact with your brand, that's the way our agents do that, up to and including chatbots and AI and all of those things that make the customer experience one that converts, delivers great experience, and that customer's in the mind frame to do repeat business with your brand. So that's, if you need any questions about outsourcing, I'd offer that to the group. If you have referrals, I mean, in our business, it's a highly competitive business. So if you have companies that want to refer a business, outsourcers pay for that. I mean, we pay, and we pay significant dollars for it because there's so many people in the call center outsourcing business. It doesn't take long to, put 40 people on the phones, get a cloud-based app, and sign a contract. It's not hard to do that. Delivering great customer experience is where the differentiator is. So that's what I do. I live in Atlanta. I'll put my name and information in the chat. I'll put my work email in the chat. And I'll also put my personal email in the chat because there may be some things that are not specifically to Valor Global that you'd like to talk through. We use a lot of lead gen. We pay for all kinds of meetings. We're looking to speak to people that run call centers and have call center outsourcing contracts because we've got several things that are dramatically different than the typical BPO provider. So we're a business process outsourcer.
Thank you so much. And thank you for putting your information in the chat. And yeah, like Myrna said in the chat, we're really glad to have you here, Garrett. Thank you.
I'm glad to be here.
And it was brief. It was brief. So
yeah, let me just say, I'll just say one more thing real quick. So a lot of times, if you think of 100 people on the phones doing call center work, if you think of 2 or 3 or 4 or 5% of their time, they're taking a break or they're putting themselves on mute, or you're paying for a lot of that wasted time. So what I've been able to create in companies after IBM and even this company is we don't charge for that wasted time. I mean, you're not paying for all that wasted time. We have outcome-based billing, which means if it's sales conversion you're paying for, or high levels of quality assurance or high levels of customer experience, if our agents do anything that's not in line with your request, you don't pay for those transactions. So outcome-based pricing, not paying for wasted time, it really makes outsourcing, this level of outsourcing, the highest quality, lowest price transactions that have ever been available, because typically outsourcers just charge you for all that time. And that's why people say, man, it costs a lot more to have your people do it than mine, but that's not the case. So anybody has a need for that, I'd love to talk to you about how that works for your program and works for your company or your startups.
Well, thank you, Garrett. And I'm such a student in this space, so this is really nice for me to be hearing this information. So I don't know, at some point I'll reach out and maybe you can educate me a little bit more.
I thought I'd play golf full time and be out of this work, but when the pandemic hit and everybody sent their workers home. That was the business I ran for IBM, was all at-home customer engagement. So now people said, whoa, Garrett, everything you told me about 8 or 9 years ago, it's happening. I got thousands of people with laptops at home and it is a mess. So help us with it. So that's why I'm still doing this work, because at home it's the way of the future in customer engagement. So
yes. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for that. And thank you for being here with us.
Thank you.
And so we have come down to the last of it. So next we have Sean Reed McGee. So Sean, please, I know you might assume that people know who you are, but that might not be the case. So if you don't mind, if you could please introduce yourself, tell us what you do, how long you've been doing it. And as Garrett's father used to say, be brief, brother, be brief, because we are coming down to the end of this.
Interesting. Brief is not my middle name, but I will do the best that I possibly can.
I'm setting a timer.
I want to say thank you to everybody for sharing their story. And I'm looking forward to us sharing more and more stories each and every month as we meet together. Please tell your friends, your family, come join us. Again, this is an overall movement. And as Matt would say, again, join the conversation. Let's continue to have it. Well, guys, my name is Sean Reed McGee. I am the CEO of Focus Quest. Focus Quest is a company that is an OPM, an online program management company for the HBCUs and minority serving institutions. I actually created this company some time ago and have included a fellow member of Blacks in Performance Marketing, Chad Williamson. So he is the COO of the company. So we use this kind of forum to connect and bond and work together and make money together by far. So again, Focus Quest, in essence, as I mentioned, is a online platform where we're helping the HBCUs, historically Black colleges and universities, to get more online. Ultimately, right now, there are 103 of them. Only about 22% of them actually have any kind of online learning aspects. Our goal here is to get each and every one of them online, helping them with their programs from boot camps to different degree level online learning. Again, ultimately, if they're not there, they will perish. And our goal here is to be a partner thereof. So instead of calling ourselves an OPM, I try to consider us being more of an SSP, which is a student success partner. Ultimately, we help them with student acquisition. We help them with the retention of those students. We help them with the nurturing overall of those students by creating a community for them to come back and ask questions, from career to mentorship to whatever it might be. So again, loving the effort, loving the overall push. What I would ask is if anybody here who rather is going to an HBCU, has a love for HBCUs, please feel free to reach out to me. We would love to have it where maybe we'll put you on a particular panel, have you highlighted within the organization. We're going to be going out there and educating, not just the universities, but also the individual students, the potential students that maybe went and got their degree already, but now they want to pursue a particular certificate. You can get that certificate at an HBCU online as well. Let me show you how. So please go to visit us at focusquest.com. Go and see all the things that we're doing. The company, again, we've only been around for about 6 months to, actively about 6 months, but overall we are building. Our team is, again, about 17 people, and we are making some strides, doing some things different. So again, please come on out.
Well, thank you so much. And I would ask you to put your information in the chat, but I think everybody's got it already.
Yes, I hope.
Just in case. But thank you. And I'm going to turn the floor back over to you, Sean.
Ndala, thank you so much for being the host today. Incredible job by far. This is what we're talking about. This group here is, again, for us to spend an hour learning about each other, sharing with each other what we do, how we can benefit, how we can grow together, how we can do business together. And that is one of our main missions for this 2023 year, is to see what we can do to grow financially together. How can we benefit? It's one thing to show up. It's another thing to sit back and say, guess what? What do you do? What do you do? Oh, guess what? Oh, you know what? I can help you with that. Please, anybody within performance marketing, definitely bring them out. Even if they're not, but you think that they could be a benefit to the group, let's, you know what, put them on front stage. So again, let's continue to find ways to bond. I want to say again, thank you so much again to Ndala. I want to say thank you to all of our guest speakers today. I'm looking forward to our March meeting, which we're going to be again focusing on allowing women of MarTech along with Link Unite to kind of take over. And I think they're going to have 4 guest speakers who have been doing their thing within the industry, sharing their story. And again, let's listen to it. Let's learn from it. Let's be encouraged and inspired by it by far. I hope that you were encouraged and inspired by the stories as well as the speakers.